If you're looking to grow your audience, that means by definition, you want new people to come to your ecosystem. So you can't make or have the audacity to say that just because you are who you are, people should click. Well, the whole goal is to get people who don't know who the heck you are to click.
See, the one thing that's becoming clear to me is that real estate is a commodity as it is. And it's like, if whoever's marketing it the best and pushing it forward will be able to appeal and grab more clients from there. And if agents are attached to the real estate aspect of it, you can sell that too. And that becomes almost like a play. So the biggest influencers across the board are the ones that will be able to get more and more and more. For the space that we're in, right? Especially like if you're looking at YouTube, for example, there's so many now people trying to replicate what worked, right? Because you were kind of earlier in that space. How do you constantly try to keep innovating, and how does someone who's just starting try to get to where you are?
Yeah, it's a great question. And for me, truthfully, like, you know, it took way too long for me to get to this point because I had no idea what I was doing, right? Like back in 2017, there were no programs showing you how to use YouTube. There were no videos out there for free showing you how to optimize a video. I had no idea what I was doing, right? So I just kind of realized like, hey, if I put this up there, like maybe somebody will see and it could help. So when you look at a lot of the agents now, like they can condense that learning curve by a ridiculous amount, which I love, right? We have agents in our group that are building, as you saw, like, you know, $1 million GCI per year, first year agents. And that's incredible. So I think, you know, for anybody that's looking to get started, and then I'll answer what I would do differently, kind of going back, or how I innovate. Number one is to learn from a credible resource, right? You don't have to go buy somebody's $5,000 BS program. You just have to go look at the free content that's out there. Like I have videos on my YouTube channel that are 45 minutes long, that are free, that literally break down what somebody will charge you $5,000 for in the program. Because again, it's that concept of over delivering. So learn before you apply it, because the big issue is people will do it like I did in the beginning, which is they say, okay, YouTube is a thing. It's a search engine. It's creates massive leverage. It's evergreen. I'm going to do it, but they don't do it in a way where, you know, another principle that I think is really important is it's not always what you're doing. It's how you do it. Right? You can put out videos just to put out videos, or you can do it with intent and design in order to succeed. If you're going to do something, make sure you do it the right way, starting from scratch, instead of spending time, because you could spend $1,000 to do a crazy listing video, to upload it and optimize it, and it gets 16 views. Well, you could do that same video and optimize it properly and get 16,000 views and maybe 5 clients. So if you're going to do it, take a step back first. Don't rush into it and just educate yourself. I think that's one of the best things you could do. And then again, in the beginning, do not try and reinvent the wheel is a huge thing. There's so many channels that are incredible out there that show you exactly what to do. They're likely in a different market than you are. Filter the videos by most popular, put your own spin on it, and then just follow something that's already been proven to work is my number one piece of advice. Now, the last piece of advice for somebody that I have, aside from the obvious, which is number one, the worst question you could ask yourself when it comes to content is, Mike, how long will it take for me to get my first client? If you ask that question, I instantly know that you have an immediate gratification approach and you will never succeed with it, right? So everybody that I know that has thrived with it has gone in saying, hey, X, Y, and Z people have done this. Well, if one man or woman can do it, so can another. So I'm going to do this. And at some point, it will work out. It's not a matter of if, it's just when. So I'm not saying I'm going to do this for 3 months, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to bounce to TikTok. I'm doing this for the rest of my career. And if I constantly try and improve and consciously look at it through an unbiased lens, then I will improve and I will get clients. Now, the number one thing that has helped me is less on innovation, because I try not to lean into like trends or anything like that. I try and focus on content that has lifespan to it. The number one thing that's made the biggest difference to me when it comes to YouTube content is not just depth, which we've already talked about, which is, you know, if you ever get to the point where you're asking yourself, am I giving too much away? The reality is you're not giving away enough. Give away everything, right? Because if you do what most do, which is, hey, I'm going to give you the tip of the iceberg, and if you want the real stuff, you have to go spend thousands of dollars on my stuff that's probably 2 years outdated. Well, that's not going to lead you very far, right? So depth and clarity is number one. The second thing, and not many people talk about this, is it's one of my 8 core principles that I live by, which is unbiasedism, looking at it through an unbiased lens. So I've got 468 videos on my YouTube channel. I rewatch 100% of my own videos before they go live every single time. And the reason why I do that is a lot of people will say, like, Mike, that's inefficient. Well, yes, but there's value in the inefficiencies if you apply it in the right way. So for example, whenever I'm about to put out a video, let's say I'm doing a video about, like, you know, eXp Realty Explained or something like that, or YouTube for real estate agents. Let's say eXp Explained. What I would do is I would do a search on YouTube, and I would look at the top 3 videos ranking for eXp Realty Explained. And then I would take my thumbnail, and then I would put it, before the video goes live, I'd put it beside each of the top 3 that are currently ranking and say, unbiasedly, if I didn't know who I was through a hole in the wall, what I've achieved, anything, would I consciously be able to tell myself I would click on my thumbnail versus the top 3 that are already ranking? And a lot of people will see that they just make the assumption because they're putting it out, because they know it's valuable, that people should just magically click on it. But the way that I approach my content is, if you're looking to grow your audience, that means by definition, you want new people to come to your ecosystem. So you can't make or have the audacity to say that just because you are who you are, people should click. Well, the whole goal is to get people who don't know who the heck you are to click. Yeah. Right? So looking at it through that unbiased lens makes a world of a difference, because that goes back to what we talked about in the beginning of consumer behavior. If you would act that way, if you didn't know who you were or what you've achieved, then so will others. Yeah. And then I go so far as to say that next step, will I rewatch those 3 videos? And then I watch my video and say, what is my video more educational, entertaining, or valuable than the 3 that are ranking? If no, I got to get back to the drawing board, right? Because I'm not special. Nobody's special. Just because you have a certain subscriber base doesn't make you better than anybody else. You have to look at this and say, hey, people care about the value, not about you. What's in it for me? Right? Mm-hmm. So when I started to apply that to my content, my lead generation for like paid advertising across all platforms, would I click on that ad? Right? The same thing goes for short form content. If one of these reels landed in front of me and you were about to post it, would you go so far as to like it? Would you actually comment on it? And would you go out of your way in your day to click on the profile and follow them? If you wouldn't do that on your own content, how can you expect other people to do it on yours? Right? So that unbiased lens is life-changing, because now you're leaning into the average consumer of who would actually be consuming your content.
Yeah. Is it fair to say that you would do that well, you said Reels. Would you do that on all platforms where you would?
Everything.
Really? Okay, got it. Wow.
Everything, like advertising too, right? Like if you're going to be running a Facebook ad,
yeah,
I asked myself before I click publish on that ad, like I spent $1.2 million last year on paid ads. And I did that litmus test for every single ad that I run, where I said, hey, if this ad landed in front of me, would I click on it and be okay with populating my information? Because what is behind that ad is so valuable that I would do that. If I removed my realtor hat and I was a member of the general public, is that ad valuable enough? Mm. Am I getting something worth me putting in my information, inherently knowing that is going to result in somebody reaching out to me? I'm good with that because the value is there.
Yeah.
If the value is there, if you approach every single thing you do with that litmus test, your business will completely change forever.
Well,
how do you implement? I mean, that's super impactful. How do you implement that litmus test while also making quick decisions too, right? Like, because I know sometimes, a lot of times when people are trying to get started in content or social, especially if they're to that avenue, a lot of times the biggest thing holding them back is the analysis paralysis. Like, I don't like my camera, or I don't have a good camera, or I need to, I can't do it from my phone, or how do you take a step back and make sure it's really, really valuable, but also still work at like a good pace where you're not just, taking 6 months to put out a video?
I love it. It's a great question. And there's stages to this, right? So like the initial stage that I always tell people is like, you do not have enough data to actually look at what is performing well and what's not, unless you've consistently put out 3 months of content. And what I refer to as 3 months of content is 3 months of content on YouTube would be at least 2 videos a week for 3 months. 3 months of short form content would be at least 3 videos a week for 3 months. That is what you need to get started with, right? You can't even make those unbiased decisions until you've got the data of what people are actually engaging with. So for the first 3 months on any platform, put it out there to gather the data to at least see what your people are looking for. Because like guys, like when I started my YouTube channel, what I did is I put out basically, I think it was 2 videos of everything that I've personally done. Because my principle is I will never put out a video about something that I have not done myself at the highest level. So I put out videos about door knocking, cold calling, Facebook ads, and Instagram. And after 3 months of putting out that content, I looked at the data and said, wow, a lot of people really want to know more about Facebook ads and Instagram. Well, cool. Well, that if that's what my audience wants, then maybe I should give it to them. So I started looking at the data because, again, what gets measured gets managed. So many people are playing this approach of like spray and pray, throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. The reason why you can consciously guarantee your channel, your content, your following, your database will grow is if you're looking at the data, making calculated decisions on what to do more of and what to do less of. But the only way you can get that data is if you do 3 months of consistent content to look back on. And then what you should do after you've done that 3 months phase is for the next 3 months, audit it on a monthly basis. And then usually after you've gone through 6 months, that's when you can really start taking a little bit more time to kind of audit things on a more one-to-one basis because you're able to find efficiencies. You're able to batch your content. You've got more time because you've been able to find a streamlined way to introduce this to your calendar and find those nuances that you can play around with.